All right.
Well, good evening, folks. I'm glad to see that you were able to connect in this evening. Tonight, past council chair Patty, current council chair Patty Allen White is here to talk about recognition, and to do it in a way that is not going to break the bank, but will be impressive. And Patty has got a lot of experience in a lot of these different areas, including presentations. So we do have another one. Yay. So I'm going to turn it over to her, and we're going to talk about recognition with pizzazz on a shoestring budget. Patty Allen, talk to us.
Thank you. I will do that. I'm really looking forward to this. But I'm going to warn you all that this is my first time doing this online. Done it lots at USA Canada forums and at conventions, but never online. So you are my guinea pigs here. Thanks for your patience. I appreciate it. We'll see how this works. Hi, Barbara. Welcome. We're glad you're here. All right.
I'm glad to be here too.
There you are. All right, good. I'd like to, tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts of jazzy recognition and on a shoestring budget, because I never have enough money to buy all the things I want to buy for recognition. It's just expensive out there. But I've discovered that, with a can of gold paint and a creative mind, you can have a good time and recognize people in a fun way. But I think that it's as important to know the why of what we do as it is the nuts and bolts and how to do it. And I wanted to tell you a story that, well, I read it in an email today. My kids go to Meridian School District, and their superintendent set out a little blurb to all the moms and dads and grannies. And he was talking about his goal for the year was to visit every single class before the end of the year. And he's quite a ways through doing that. And this last week, he was in the fifth grade class, which makes 10 and 11-year-olds his audience. And he was talking to them on his role as superintendent, as a school superintendent. And he was talking about the strategic plans that the district has for their schools and wanted to get their feedback. I wished I could have heard that 10 and 11-year-olds, I can't imagine what they would think about a strategic plan. But he talked about the core value that they have picked for the Meridian School District, which is belonging. And my antennae just perked up with that word, belonging. And so they had a little discussion with these 10 and 11-year-olds, and they came up with this. When he asked them, how do you foster the sense of belonging in your school and in your classroom? What do you have to do? And they decided that it was through acts of kindness. And I thought, oh, those are wise young people. And I thought to myself, that's exactly what we're doing when we bring in recognition to our Lions clubs. We are treating our people with kindness, and we are showing them that they are really, really important to us and that we value them and we care about them. And if we are successful in giving them a sense of belonging to our Lions family, I do believe our retention issue will be helped a lot. So one of my favorite things to do in life is to go to garage sales. And this is perfect for, can everybody see this with us in the corner? I want you to be able to see
Yes.
this.
Yep.
Okay. You have to have the mindset of being on a treasure hunt. If you want to save money and get things done without it being expensive. So on our treasure hunt, we need to know where the nearest secondhand store and thrift stores are, and we need to be able to find those garage sales. This is important stuff because I find the best stuff at garage sales and thrift stores. And poor Rock White, who is my husband, on the back of our car, it has one of those bumper stickers that says, "Beware, we stop at garage sales," And he speeds up for whatever reason. He speeds up every time he sees a garage sale sign. So I don't always get to go and see all the ones I want to. So we're needing some tools of the trade, and you can find them in the local hardware stores and at garage sales. So here we go. These are some things that we need, and I guess I can admit people too, so I better do that. All right, welcome, Barb. We're glad you're here. One of the things you need most in your repertoire for a jazzy and fun a recognition ceremony is this can of gold paint I was telling you about. You need to have one of those on hand because you can use that to your benefit. Then you need to go around at the garage sales and find some old plaques. Have 2 or 3 of them on hand, and so you can use them because sometimes you get inspired in the middle of the night and you want to recognize somebody and you don't have time to run around and find a plaque. So see if you can dig up some old plaques out of your the storage shed for your Lions Club and I know they do have those plaques at garage sales and thrift stores. So be looking around for them. And then the other thing that you really need to keep on hand, and these you can find frames, picture frames at garage sales and thrift stores, but these neat little cardboard frames like this, matting, you need to go to Home Depot. No. We need to go to Office Depot. There we go, the other depot. Office Depot or Office Max, one of those stationery stores, Michael's will have them, so that you have something to put your certificates in, because it really looks a lot nicer if you have your certificates in some kind of little frame. And these guys are not very expensive. They are called certificate holders. And for 10 of them, it's $12. So that's only $1.20 a piece. And I'm going to tell you what, if you buy those folders, they can cost you $3 or $4 a piece. So this is a much better deal, and it looks pretty classy when you're presenting them. It gives them some substance, and it isn't just a piece of paper flopping around it. It makes it look like a nice certificate presentation. A jar of glitter is always good to have around, and I'll show you how I used a jar of glitter later on. And then if you're going to be the president of your club, or the zone chairman of your zone, or like second vice district governor, like June Ferrara is thinking about being, then you need to have some little drawer. Now you better have a bigger drawer, a big drawer or a shelf where you can begin to gather things like your plaques and like your those little certificate holders, a place where you can always go and find the things you need to create something fun to recognize someone. You can keep your can of gold spray paint in there. And then the most fun part about this is get a brainstorming partner. And I decided that if I were doing this over again, I wouldn't just stop with one brainstorming partner. I'd put together myself a board of recognition. I'd have 2 or 3 people that I could pull together and say, hey, you know what? I'd like to recognize Susie Q because she has done an amazing job with the Books for Kids projects. And I am just having a brain cramp and can't think of anything fun to do for her. What do you think? And it's amazing to me how if you have a couple other people talking to you over a cup of coffee, you come up with the best ideas of things you can do to recognize somebody, fun things and things that don't cost you a lot of money. So your job right now is to start gathering supplies and ideas. You never want to let your brain be at rest. You are thinking and listening all the time. When I went to school to be a teacher, my professor said to me, you are going to be a teacher and you are going to make 5,732 bulletin boards. You need to begin to steal ideas from other people because it's really hard to fill up that many bulletin boards all by yourself. So always be on the lookout and see what somebody else has created in another school and borrow that idea from them. So that's what you guys are about to do. All right. So let's see if I can get this. Oh, all of a sudden, I am not working here.
Click inside your PowerPoint and then hit the enter key. That should, you want to go to the next slide, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, well, thank goodness you're here. All right. So we want you to be on the lookout. And what you're looking for is, and asking yourself is, what's in your closet? I don't know what's in your closet, but look what I found in mine. I found this little skeleton here, and I want you to know I found him at a garage sale just before I gave this presentation at a USA Canada forum. I think it cost me $1. So I thought that was a bonus. No skeletons in your closet, I'm sure. But when you're cleaning out your closets and getting ready to send things to the Salvation Army or the Goodwill, be thinking about recognition and how you could use some things. Look in my closet, I found this eyeball. It belonged to a kid. It's just a squishy eyeball. And I'm thinking, wouldn't it be fun if you could figure out a way to put that onto some little stand and say, I've been keeping my eye on you and you've been doing a great job of yada, 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 whatever. See, it's amazing what you can find in your closet. And then there's the junk drawer. The junk drawer, Junque, this is high class junk. So we spell it very specially. There's always goodies in the junk drawer. And on Facebook, sometimes you get the best stories on Facebook. Wonderful, heartwarming stories. And you can copy those and keep those in a file for another day. Don't forget to do that. Lyrics in a song. Oh my gosh. Some of the lyrics in the song say something that you just can't figure out how to say it, and they say it so well. So be listening to the songs. And my friend, she and her husband, he was a council chairman and she was a governor, and she found the theme for his year, it was Jim Kemp, and they found the theme for his year as council chairman on the side of a panel truck. It was an advertisement. I don't even remember what it was, something to do with team. And it was really clever. And that became their theme for his year as council chairman. You never know where you're gonna find ideas. And so just keep your little notebook handy where you can jot down these things and don't poo-poo anything. Think, oh, that'll work for another recognition. So in your mind, there's lots of things rolling around in your mind. And that's why you have a board of recognition, so you can bounce things off each other and talk to each other about ways to make fun presentations. Long time ago, I don't even remember, and I don't think it'll be very easy to see these, but a long time ago, I think it cost me a whole $1, and I think it was like at Joann's Fabrics. There were these cute little, let's see here, cute little blue stars. There are blue stars and clear stars and green stars. They're just little stars, and they were in a bag, one of those kind of net bags, and you're supposed to put them into a vase and put your flowers into them, and they would hold your flowers up straight. And I looked at that little star and said, ooh, wouldn't that be fun to put one at everybody's place at a Lions Club meeting and tell them that they are stars in the Bellingham Central Lions Club? I don't know. There, you see what I mean about just keeping your eyes open. It wasn't very expensive, and I just I think I've handed them out 2 or 3 times. So the other one that I really thought was fun, but I have to borrow this from my grandson, you guys. He will not let me have this one. I don't know if you can see this, but this says Beyond Awesome. And underneath this little Lions logo that I put in there is Spider-Man. That's why I have to borrow it from my grandson. I'm not allowed to use this one. But it cost me a whole $1.74. It was $8, and it was on the closeout rack. And I said, wow, wouldn't that be cool to tell somebody that they are beyond awesome? And look at that little Lions logo on there that I printed off the website. And voila, we have a little recognition for fun. And let's see. Oh, this one's pretty funny. This one also came from Michael's, I think. They were selling these out. There were a bunch of them. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's a column. It looks like a Greek column. And it's amazing if you have a Greek column and you are going to be making a presentation and you put whatever it is you want to present to them on the top, maybe put a little velvet, something on there draped over it. Makes a pretty cool thing up in front of the room before your presentation is made. See, and it's just a little column. I don't know. It didn't cost me any more than $2. I don't think. There were a ton of them there and they just wanted to get rid of them. And I said, well, I'm taking one of those home with me. And I've used it 2 or 3 times in different recognition ceremonies. Just kind of fun. It makes people look up front and it kind of focuses their eyes on it and gives it a little pizzazz, you know? All right. But here's a good one. This one I got for my birthday. Rock and I are both born in September. And so we went out to dinner with our friends and they gave us happy birthday glasses. So we had to wear them for dinner and to have our picture taken. And I just happened to be going to the USA Canada Forum. So I took them with me and we celebrated 2 people's birthdays at the USA Canada Forum and they each got a pair of happy birthday glasses. I can't imagine that they cost too much money, but it sure brought a smile on the birthday boy's face and it was lots of fun. And we all sang happy birthday to them. It didn't take much effort at all. And I was giving it to me and then I passed it on. You can do the same thing. Otherwise, you just have to put them in a drawer and store them. You know how that is. And if you give them away, you don't have to do that. So now we're going to talk about let me see if I can make this work, some elements of unforgettable recognition. Recognition with pizzazz and fun that is not hard, but they're important. One of them is you need to personalize it. You need to make it not cookie cutter. It needs to belong to you, to this person, specially. Like if you're wanting to honor someone who is just the most amazing gardener in the world and they've done something that you want to recognize them, gosh, you could give them some packets of seeds and on each packet you could put some characteristic of that person. She's so kind and she's very efficient and she makes things beautiful. And I don't know, you get the idea? You could just put a little quote on each one and present these to that person at the meeting. And you know what? These are free. I got them in the mail and I just tucked them away and said, oh, I'll use those for recognition sometime with someone who really likes to garden. Personalize it. Make it special for them. Then be prepared. And June, you will understand this when I say that every time somebody makes a presentation without being prepared, Mike Gaeta turns over in his grave. He just hated that. He was a past council chairman and a very good friend of mine. And he probably hammered this to our leaders at every school we ever taught. Do not ever show up when you're going to make a presentation with your item in a box like this, all wrapped up, sitting on the table up front with you as president or zone chairperson. You are going to want to be not spending time trying to get into a plaque. You are going to want the plaque to be ready for presentation. You don't want all that mess and fuss, and people's time is valuable. And you don't want them having to sit there and watch you fumble around taking out the Melvin Jones Fellowship plaque. You want it already out of the box. They don't have to see the name on that plaque. You can turn that over, but the plaque should be out of the box, and the letter that's going to be given to this person, it should be in the hands of the person that you want to read it. It would be nice if they could have it a little ahead of time so that they can read it and be prepared and feel confident about it. And you know those pins, those little Melvin Jones Fellowship pins that come in that little plastic packet? Have you ever tried to open one of those when you're in a hurry? It's awful. So make sure it's out of that plastic wrap and in your pocket or in somebody's hand, safe. But don't wait to do that while everybody's watching. Have it all done and prepared and ready. So have fun with it, though. Have a good time with this. It's very important that it's classy and finishes well, but have fun. One of my favorite presentations was to a man who always brought his dump truck to the MD-19 office. And every time we pulled out some scruffy pine tree or a rhododendron that was dead, or I don't know, what are those? I can't even remember the names of them. They drive you crazy. They grow big and huge, and they're always in the way. And so we pulled a whole lot of them out, and he brought his dump truck many times, loaded it up and dumped it out on his farm. And he never would let us pay for gas. He was generous and kind and good. And we wanted to give him a Melvin Jones Fellowship. So we did. But we wanted to have a little fun with it too. So we invited the whole family to come, and he had a young grandson to come who came to see his papa get this award. And I don't know if you can see this Matchbox truck here. It's one of those kind that goes up and down. And we, with our trusty little can of gold, gilded it. And so it was a beautiful, beautiful gold dump truck. And it sat on the top of that little pedestal. And then when we presented it, we presented the Melvin Jones Fellowship to Dave Jones for all of his work. And we explained why he was getting it and what a Melvin Jones Fellowship was, and that it honored our founder. That's called finishing well. That's called making it classy. You have fun. You give the little gilded truck. You laugh about how he always was spilling stuff all over. I mean, you just have a good time with the presentation. But when you give the actual plaque and fellowship, you do it with dignity. You can have fun and be dignified at the same time, and another part of the presentation. So we gave the grandson the gold dump truck to remember his papa by, and we put it in a little box that I think cost me 50 cents. And on top of the box is a wonderful decal or decal, depending on which side of the 49th parallel you live. You can buy 100 of these for not too much and have them on hand. And I would have several sizes of decals because you probably would be using them. And we presented that little truck inside that box and handed it to him, and told him that we wanted him to think of his papa every time he looked at his gold truck. So we had fun with it. It had a little pizzazz with the gold truck, but we also had the Melvin Jones Fellowship plaque all ready to present to the Jones family. And I forgot to say, Dave Jones died suddenly. He had been fighting cancer, and it just went downhill very quickly, and we didn't get a chance to present the Melvin Jones in time. So that's why we presented the Melvin Jones plaque and explained what Dave had done, and then gave the pin to his wife. Patty, you have a question?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. I don't know if it's just me and my computer, but you're breaking up occasionally. Is anybody else having that problem?
No.
No,
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Should I turn up my volume or something, Al?
Well, I
Uh,
was trying to kind of watch, and sometimes it's when you're facing away.
Okay, I'll try to keep pointed at the screen. Thank you for
Okay,
saying
thank you.
that, because
Sure.
that is a bad habit of mine. I should stop talking when I turn away. I will. Um, so that's why it made it really special to give that gold pickup truck to the little grandson to remember his grandpa by, and that his grandpa was a wonderful volunteer for the Lions, and he had done a lot of work to help the multiple district office and to help the Lions. And so it was a proud moment for the grandson and for the family. The whole family was there. So we had fun with it. Whoops. But we also tried to make it very classy at the end when we actually presented the Melvin Jones Fellowship, and we tried to finish well. We tried to make sure that everybody knew the why of this presentation and the relevance of it. If you are presenting something like a leadership medal or a presidential medal, it's nice, and there are non-Lions in the room, family perhaps. It's really nice to explain a little bit about the award. The Melvin Jones is not actually an award. I just point that out. They're always asking us to clarify that. It is a fellowship, and it is one of the highest pieces of recognition we can do for a Lion, but it is not an award. It is a fellowship, and they're Al, maybe you know why they are specific about wanting to make that clear. I don't know, but they really do insist on it being called a fellowship, not an award.
it harkens back almost 100 years ago. Harkens back to a day when you were recognized as a member of an elite group for what you do, and that's called a fellowship.
Okay.
You could almost say that, anybody that gets a presidential leadership award is also a fellowship, but it's not recognized as a fellowship because,
Oh,
for instance, with the Melvin Jones Fellowship, you can go to the international headquarters and there is a room there where they display a rolling display of all of the names of all of the people, not just Lions, that have received the Melvin Jones Fellowship because they are a fellow and in a group of I hate to use the word elite, but within a recognized group that goes over and above.
and that makes sense, because when a Lions Club gives a fellowship to one of their family, one of their Lions family, one of the people that belong to their club, they are telling the world that they hold them in high esteem. It is a very special, special recognition. Yeah. So that's just a little an aside. And so now personalize it, be prepared, have fun with it, but then bring it to a close and finish well. Make it classy when you actually present the award, the medal, or the fellowship to the person. Make sure that everybody, as much as possible, knows the why of this recognition. And if anybody has any questions ever, I can talk pretty fast. So please do raise your hands. I'll be watching. This was one of my favorite. I've done this several times in the multiple district, and you might have been at one of the luncheons when I've done it. I also have done it at a Lions Club and at the USA Canada Forum, and it's called Going on a Lion Hunt. the fact that I have a salmon net in my hand has nothing to do with anything. I couldn't find any other net. And how am I going to net a lion if I don't have a net? So Rock had a salmon net and we took it with us. And so I went on a lion hunt and I honored the key members in the room. And each of the key members that we honored gave us a tiny snippet of what they did to help them be one of the top recruiters in the room, top recruiters in the Lions Club. And we didn't just dress ordinarily. We had to wear our pith helmet and our, the khaki shirt and slacks and or skirt. And I had my tall black boots on and I was going on a lion hunt. No snake bites for me. And we had a great time. And we honored 3 or 4 people in that room. And Bob Johnson happened to be one of them, who was the highest recruiter in that room. And it was a fun way to say, well done, have some fun, but we made sure that everybody understood what a key award was, what a key member was, and we passed out a flyer that showed all the different key awards there are, and there are many, and they go up to 100 members and I don't know, 2 or 3 or 4, 500 members. There are some very special key awards. All right. The reason that we are making sure that we tell the why and finish with class and explain things is because, as T.S. Eliot said, we had the experience, but we missed the meaning. And we don't want anyone who gets recognition from us. We want them to have fun, but we want them to know how much we appreciate them and what they've done and how we hold them in high esteem. So we don't want anybody having that little sad face of that kitty. We want them to know why they were honored. The most important element of recognition is the person, of course. And Gord Roberts said this one time. He said, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's another little part of being kind, acts of kindness. And that's another way that we keep them in our fellowship, in our Lions Club. We want our Lions to know that our group is going to miss them. If they're gone, we're going to miss them. And we want them to feel valued and special. So here's some fun ways to do that, to show your members that they are important. And I thought it was pretty amazing, some of the things we found out about our members. We want to know what their family looks like. We want to know, we don't want anybody to just be a one-dimension paper doll lion. We want to know about them. We want them to know that we do know about them, that we care about them. We want to know, do they have more than one career? What was their career? Do you know what your Lions in your club do for a living or did for a living? Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we don't take the time to find out about them. What are their hobbies? Where have they been in their lifetime? And what have they done with their life? These are all real important questions to have. You might be surprised, even amazed. And I'm going to tell you, one time we did one of the activities on the next slide in my Lions Club. And I found out one of the quietest, well-dressed, proper lion had climbed to the top of Mount Fuji. Who would have guessed? And another one was a retired CIA agent. I would behave myself around him after that. But one of the ways that you can find out about your Lions at regular club meetings is every quarter, have a fireside chat with a member and let people listen as you ask them questions and they share about themselves, kind of like the 5 minute or 2 minute new member talk that some of our clubs do, but some of our members never got to do that, and maybe nobody knows about them. And you can interview club members for your bulletin, or you can play the version of What's My Line. So, who is the guy of the 3 Lions Club members that are up front in What's My Line? And who was the lineman for the county, like Glenn Campbell sang about? Who was the guy that was a judge before he retired? We could have fun finding out about them. And this one known fact, who is this? That's what our club president did. She gave everybody a blank piece of paper and said, okay, I want you to write down something that nobody else in this room will know about you. And that's when John Marthans wrote down that he had climbed to the top of Mount Fuji when he was in the service. If they had asked, pick out the man in this room that has climbed to the top of Mount Fuji, he would have been, out of 25 people, the 25th person that you would have guessed climbed up to that mountain. It was amazing. Another one, fun game to do is 20 questions. Say, who am I describing? Or did you know that this lion did da 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 da? And then you have 20 yes and no questions to say, well, you can ask questions about that person and to see if you can figure out who it was. Lots of fun ways to find out about your lions without just having them fill out a form. I don't like to fill out forms, and I think it'd be more fun to play a game. Avoid that stingy bug. Avoid the praise stingy bug. It remembers the last code of ethics says to be careful with our criticism and generous with our praise. Find ways to sing your members' praises. These things you can do on your own as the president, as the zone chairperson, as a district governor. Text a member, send them a card, call them, email them. Take them a little something. Doesn't have to be expensive or a big deal. Maybe a little bouquet of daffodils. Pretty soon there'll be lots of daffodils in your neck of the woods, June, and you can buy them on every street corner and give them to somebody and say thank you for what you do. Just make sure that whatever means of communication you use works with your member. Sometimes 94-year-old members don't text. They might not even have a cell phone. So don't use that as a means of saying, I think you've done wonderful. Send a card, give them a call. Nobody else has to know. It doesn't have to be a big deal. Just remember to recognize people and to tell them how much you appreciate them. This was kind of a fun thing they did down in District 19B. Used to be B, now it's an O. They were really cool pins they had made. And if you came up with an idea that everybody liked, you submitted it on a piece of paper, you told some details about how you thought it would work and why you thought it was a good idea, they would give you the little pin to wear because you had submitted an idea they did it on the district level, but you could do it on your club level. And then if they picked up on the idea and actually did it, you got one of these large pins to wear on your vest or wherever. It was just a fun way to get people to be thinking and submit new ideas. They were getting kind of stuck always doing the same projects. And so they were trying to inspire them to do some different things. And this was a piece of advice that my dad gave to me when I became executive secretary. He said, you should never miss the opportunity to plant the leadership seed. He said that as the executive secretary treasurer, you will see lots of people that have leadership potential. And right now, where we are in the world of selecting leaders, we are at the point where we have to twist their arm and say, oh, please, please, please do this for us, and we need you to do this. And that doesn't work so well sometimes. But if you plant the seed and say, you did an amazing job on that pancake breakfast, you would really make a great club president. I hope you'll think about that. Or, wow, you organized the most amazing fundraising for that young lady that needed an operation. I'll bet you could be a zone chairman with no problem at all. Think about that, would you? You just plant the seed and let it germinate. And it's amazing. I never felt like I had the clout to do anything like that. But, June, you're a past zone chairman soon. Well, you are a zone chairman. You're a past zone chairman and our zone chairman, right? Yeah. And you're about to be a second vice district governor, and people will value what you say to them and the seeds that you plant. And never underestimate. One time, let's see, it's Marilyn Patterson, and she is a past district governor now, and she said that she couldn't come up to the conference up in Chilliwack, and she was really sorry. And she said, you have played a big part in my life. And I remember when you installed me as president, you said to my club, here is your president. Will you stand and recognize her and be watching, because she will someday be district governor. And she said, I've never forgotten that. And now I have been district governor. And she said, I never forgot that you expressed your confidence in me. So what you say is important. I feel like I've been talking a lot. Does anybody have any questions? I have been talking a lot, I know. I have one little story I'd like to share with you. It's about Henry Ford. And Henry Ford was friends with Thomas Edison, and they were both inventors. And Henry Ford was in the business of gas cars, and Thomas Edison was all about electricity, as we all know. But at the time that this story takes place, Henry Ford worked for Thomas Edison, but he was still creating his, what do you call it, a quadricycle, and it ran on a gasoline engine. And he had always admired Thomas Edison. He was a real fan of him. And they had a big convention they called them illuminating companies, the Edison Illuminating Companies. And they had a big convention of all the illuminating companies that belonged to Mr. Edison. And Henry Ford happened to be at one of them, and he got the chance to chat with Thomas Edison for a few minutes. And he mentioned to him that he was building and creating this quadricycle. And Edison wanted to know how it ran. And he said, on a gas engine. And Thomas Edison was a real proponent of electric cars. And he said he thought that's where we would be going in the future. But he didn't say that to Henry Ford. He didn't say, oh, nah, I wouldn't spend their time on working on gas engine vehicles. He said, it's going to be electricity. That's where we're going to go. What he said to him was, whoops, he said, young man, that's the thing. You have it. Keep at it. He encouraged him and told him to continue on that road, because that was his invention and he was very proud of it. He didn't squash him. He continued to believe that electric cars were going to be the way of the future. Boy, was he right? But he did not ruin Henry Ford's belief in himself at all by telling him that wasn't the way to go. So here we come back to kindness again. humility and kindness. You know, it's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't care who gets the credit. President Henry Truman said that. And then my buddy Mike Gaeta said this, and he lived by this. He said, you know, it's equally as amazing how many leaders you can grow and encourage when you share the stage. And Mike always shared the stage with as many people as wanted to come up and be a part of his presentations. And he encouraged a lot of young leaders by sharing the stage with them. So you have lots of formal recognitions of all kinds, and you will have chances to do inductions of new members and installations and memorials. And here again, you got to listen and you got to watch for clues. Because unless you want to always give the same installation and the same induction ceremony, you have to find out what it is that is personally important to the people that you're going to install. One time I was asked to go up to South Surrey Central and install their officers. Yeah, it was their officers. And Linda DeRoche said to me, this is a great group of Lions, but they're real rapscallions and they're always going every which way. And I would call them real scallywags. And as I'm listening to her, I'm thinking, I guess we'll install them with a pirate theme. And so we did. We dressed up like pirates and we did the whole installation around a pirate theme, and it was a lot of fun. Another time, the president said, I asked her what her goal was and if she had a theme, and she said, yeah, I really want to try some things new this year. I really want to think outside the box. I want to do things differently. So I thought, boxes. What could I do with boxes? So I found as many boxes as I needed for every single officer in that club. And on the box, they wrote what they wanted to see different in their Lions Club. So I presented them with their box once they were installed. They wrote on there with a pen what they wanted to do differently in their Lions Club. And then I told them to put the box on the floor and stomp on it and break it up and get rid of it. I said, because we are not thinking outside the box this year. We are destroying the box and doing it differently. And it was, they just looked at me like, what? But they did. They smashed those boxes, got rid of them, threw them in a pile, and committed to doing things differently that year, and not only thinking outside the box, but getting rid of the box altogether. Sometimes I think that we really need to do things drastically. We had a nice ceremony, we had a good installation, then we had some fun and got rid of the boxes. Just an idea of how you can do things differently. So, be brave, be genuine, laugh at yourself, have fun with your people. One time I was supposed to bring a check from my club and present it. It was to Mount Vernon. My club is in Bellingham. I live in Burlington. I remembered I didn't have the check until just before we were going to their charter anniversary. You know what? There was no time to run to Bellingham to get the check. So I wrote an IOU and presented it to him. And we all laughed a lot about how I had a brain cramp and didn't remember it. And so I had to present the IOU and bring the check down later and eat crow. It was fun. We laughed. We had a good time. We wrote a cute little poem on there about being stupid and having a brain cramp. And it was a lot of fun. And they still give me a hard time about that. So the last thing I just want to share with you, and I think this is really important. Every single day of your life, find someone to whom you can give simple but unforgettable recognition that's just made for them, from you to them. not too many creative, wonderful ideas you can tuck away. But I hope that I left you with the fact that you have all the ideas up in your head, and you and your friend, your board of recognition, can find lots of fun ways to recognize people in your Lions Club for less than $1.50. And that's the end of the story. I hope you got something out of that. Thank you, Mr. Alf, for asking me to do this. It was a lot of fun.
Indeed, it was. We do appreciate this. I do want to point out that that Patty brought out the idea of a closet, keeping in a closet all of your tools of the trade, if you will, that may not fit into a drawer, which is great. But without realizing it, she brought out a skeleton from her closet. She's the only one that I know of that is proud to have a skeleton in her closet. I mean, what more can you ask for? The
And a garage sale skeleton, you
a
know?
garage sale skeleton. A couple of things on presentations. I've witnessed a lot of different presentations for a lot of different awards, and Patty is absolutely right. The award, whatever you're giving, if it's a plaque, a trophy, a certificate, have it out, unboxed, unwrapped, ready to hand over. The time taken for fumbling around is an embarrassment, and I have seen it happen time and time again.
Oh, way too many times.
I've also seen it happen when the person presenting the award does not know how to pronounce the recipient's name. That is embarrassing. So if you're going to be doing this and you don't know the person personally, you've never met him or her, make sure you know how to pronounce their name. And last item, this is something that I find myself that I have to do, and that is I have to use notes. Because what I want to say, if I don't have my notes in front of me, I'm going to forget half of it. I got to use notes.
You know what? And as long as you're familiar enough with your notes that you're not reading them
Right.
and that they're there just to jog your memory, I don't think there's anything wrong with notes. I agree with you. I need to have notes. I usually have, because I forget people's names. I forgot my roommate's name, you guys, when I brought her home to meet my mother. And I'd been living with her for 6 weeks. And I just was nervous and I forgot her name. So, I always write people's names down now, or words that I think I might forget that I'm not familiar with. Then nobody's embarrassed.
Yeah.
Me, especially. Yeah. Any questions from anybody?
Questions,
Or-
ideas, maybe something that
Oh, yeah. You guys might have some ideas. Yeah.
I have one. A long time, Emerson Bishop did a installation of officers, and he did it in a really good way. He had well, it was back in the boonies, I guess. But for the secretary, he used a notebook and a pen. For the treasurer, he had fake money
Cool.
in a bag.
Yeah.
Um, for the director, I think he had
Well, baton, like a
yeah, what they
baton.
use, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember too many of the rest, but of course the tail twister, he had a joke book. I don't know. He went on and on. It was really good. I'll never forget that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen people use candy bars. They
Yeah,
would give the treasurer $1 million candy bar and or payday or yeah. So
Yeah.
sometimes people use vegetables or I don't know. There's just a lot of fun stuff. Yeah.
that's right. The president is the big banana. So you give him a big
Yes,
banana.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the cabbage head,
There you go. Yeah. Other thoughts.
Anybody else have any ideas or thoughts or questions?
The
You've been a great audience. Thank you.
well, whenever you have the opportunity to try something different, especially if it's spontaneous, unplanned, take advantage of it. A few years ago, I visited which club was it? I don't remember now. The old Federal Way Club. And the before the meeting started, the club president got a phone call from the tail twister. Tail twister couldn't make it, so fine, someone else can do it. Gavelled the meeting to order, and the president said, "Who wants to take over as tail twister?" Nobody raised their hand, so I did, and I imposed a rule. The rule for that meeting is that because I took easily offense at any small slight, that a big fine was going to occur. But it was the club president that would pay the fine. And suddenly everybody got real mouthy. They got almost insulting. They interrupted the guest speaker. And of course the fines just piled up. And so at the end of it all, I took all that money and I gave it back to the president. But we had a great time with that simply because there was a new unexpected rule in there. It worked very, very nicely. I think it's very possible Barbara may have been there at that one. I don't recall.
I think I was. It seems to me like somewhere in the deep recesses of my mind, I recall something like that.
Yeah, I had a blast. It was fun.
And if you have fun without being degrading, people don't mind laughing at themselves, and they certainly love to laugh at you, when you're having a good time. But somebody always said err on the side of caution if you think it might hurt somebody's feelings.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
Is if a story or a joke, if your mother or your grandmother would not appreciate it, you don't want to tell it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other thoughts, ideas? Patty Page looks like she's going to turn on her microphone. No? Okay.
Only to say I don't have any brilliant ideas.
It's amazing. I think that we all feel that way, actually. And that's why I always like to have somebody to talk to about it or to bounce things off of, or it just is amazing how the juices begin to flow if you have more than one person talking about it. And we could do this, or what about if we did this, that kind of thing. It always helps me to do that. Yeah. Oh, well, there we are, all of us.
Here we are.
Okay.
One of the things I didn't show you guys that I thought was really cute, can you see that baby in there? We actually did this.
Yes.
We all went out and picked up garbage, and it was really, really cold and rainy and snowy. And so when we came to Lions Club the next week, everybody got one of these at their places, and it told them thank you, and they got some chapstick with it. And it was this was chapstick that was in one of those thingies where you get like 10 of them for a few dollars. I mean, they're not as big as the other ones, but it doesn't really matter how expensive the gift is, does it? It's that you've told them thank you, and you've had fun with it. And that has to be the cutest baby I ever saw.
Good ideas. Good ideas.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else for the good of the order, again, I would like to thank everybody for connecting in, and I want to thank Council Chair Patty for putting this together. Some
Yes,
great
thank you.
ideas, and we do appreciate it. So with that, I want to bid you all good night, and in the words of past District Governor Sharon Sykes, let's go forward and do great things.
Great, thanks. Yes. And sweet dreams. Yes.
Sweet dreams, yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, all.
Thank you.
Thank you.